it's Michelle, and I've been playing with my Cuttlebug today, and I wanted to show you guys some of the little tricks I've figured out so that you can get more use out of your basic dies. We're going to do double die cutting today, and I can't wait to show you guys this. You can take simple dies and get extra shapes. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use a circle die, and you guys have seen me do this trick before with a paper punch in a circle shape, but I wanted to go ahead and show you with the Cuttlebug. So I'm going to get everything set up the way I need it. I've got my A plate going in first, and then my B plate, the one with all the cut markings on it. And then I'm going to take my circle die and put it on my paper. I've just got sort of a grayish, sort of cloudy looking pattern. And like I said, you guys saw me do this before with the punches. And actually what I did then, I did it to create a leaf shape, but what that left in excess of that was a moon shape. So the moon is what I'm creating today, and I thought that cloudy paper would make a really cute moon. I'll put my C plate on top of that for cutting, and then just run it through, and I always run it back. Maybe take it through a couple of times just to make sure that it cuts really well. And it did. So there's our circle shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape. And this is really handy to hold your die in exactly the place that you want it. So for double die cutting is just exactly like it sounds. We're just cutting twice. I'm going to pick what I want to be on my moon, I think. This side here. Okay, so I think that is about the shape of a moon I want. You can make, you know, there are many moon phases, so you could just make however much of a moon that you wanted to. I think I kind of like it right there. So I'm going to tape that down so it won't shift around on me. And run it through a second time. And there's our moon shape. So we can use that on a card. And then this particular double die cut gives you double shapes. So this one here is good for a leaf shape or even an eye, whatever you want it to be. Just a little bit more that you can get out of a circle die, more than just the circle itself. Okay, I'm going to lay those aside. And the next one I want to do is really, really fun. We're going to get something else out of a square. So I'm going to lay that down on my A and B plate. Sandwich it in with my C and run it through a couple times. Usually not necessary to go through a couple times, but I usually do it anyway just in case, especially when I don't have it taped down that way. When I take it out and it shifts, then I'm pretty much out of luck. Okay, so there is your square. And then the first one we're going to do is really simple. We're just going to scoot it down. And I don't know if you guys could tell, but those little notches there rest back into the stitching design that is already on there. And then I can just create a rectangle. So this is really handy if you're just getting started and you're building up your supplies and you really don't have many shapes at all. Try to be sure to get ones at first that you think you're going to be able to multi-purpose like this. So if you need a square, you can get that, or you can get a rectangle. And you could scoot it down. You could make it really, really thin. And this one here, as you can see, it only has the stitching. Well, maybe you can see, I don't know. It only has the stitching on 3 sides because the cutting edge was on this side and the stitching edge on this side. So if you want to make sure that you get all of your stitching on that one too, just find a place where those notches rest into those little stitched areas and run it through. And there you've got your stitching on all sides. So you can create large rectangles or tiny little thin sentiment strips or anything that you want to do with that. Any size rectangle that fits within the square. And we're going to do something else with the square. So I'm going to start out just cutting my first square. And then what I want to do with this is really, really fun. I'm going to put my handle in there out of my way so I can use my grid lines here to help me line this up just right. Okay, so you guys can see I've got the point right at a line on all sides. And I'm going to line this up on a diagonal, trying to make sure that it's even all the way around. And then when I think I've got it even, I'm just going to tape that down. And run it through again. And this is probably my favorite one. I think that is so fun. You get an octagon. How cute is that? So if you can't find octagon dies, or if you just have a few basic shapes, squares and circles, you can get a lot out of them. And another example that I want to show you guys is a tag shaped die, and I really love these. I love to make tags. I'm going to get that as close to the edge as I can so that I don't have much waste and I can get more out of my cardstock. And that's just a piece of craft cardstock. And I'm going to run that through to cut out my tag. So there is our tag. And what I wanted to show you guys with this was kind of like the same way we did our square into a rectangle. I'm just going to put that back on there. And if you want a shorter tag, you can do that. Just slide it to whatever length you think you want your tag to be. and then try to get it to rest into those little stitching notches. And if you have dies that don't have the stitched border, you can still do it. You just have to be sure that you carefully line your edge back up with the edge that you had before. And run that through. You really only have to make sure that bottom edge goes under the roller, because that's the only one that is cutting this time. And so there you have a shorter tag complete with this stitching all the way around. Just make sure that your stitching on your die is toward the side that you need it to do that, and then you just punch your hole out a little bigger there. You can use that little bitty one if you want to, but to me I think that's just kind of like a guide for where to use your larger hole punch. And again, we're left with a little rectangle. So you could actually create rectangles even if you didn't have a square die and you just had the tag shapes. And really you could take this, turn it this way, and cut that out and create squares and rectangles just with your tag die if you didn't have squares or rectangles at all. And with this one, again, you can line that up with those notches and make sure that we don't have any waste. We're going to go ahead and run that through again so that we get our stitching on there, and we can use that little rectangle maybe as a sentiment strip or something like that. So how cute is that, right? Okay, and one last trick that I wanted to show you. And you guys, these are just a few that I picked out to try to show you guys today. But you can kind of take this concept and let your imagination run wild and create all kinds of new shapes with some basic dies. So I'm going to get my handle out of my way again, because I want to try to line up some of my dies here. So I'm using ovals this time, and what I'm going to do is create a frame. And I'm not going to run one through first and then the second one. I'm going to use two different size dies. This is from a stacking set, just an unbranded nesting die set that I got online. And I'll try to find as many links as I can to these and include those for you guys. But any unbranded nesting die set. And I'm just using two different sizes inside of each other. And if you wanted to use one of the smaller sizes and make a wider frame, you can do that too, just as long as you have two different sizes of the same shape. I'm going to go ahead and get me a piece of tape ready here. And I'm going to try to get directly over it if I can, to make sure that I've got that spaced evenly. Get them as even as possible, and then put my tape on there to hold that in place, and run those through. So in this case, double die cutting means not that we're running it through twice, but that we're using two dies at once to create one die cut. Well, actually you do get two out of it. So I'm going to remove those. And that didn't cut on one side. Just going to find where those little notches go right back in to my stitching and run that through again. So you can see you get a frame out of that. And I think that is really cute. You could do a lot with these. You could use this technique to make a border for a shaker window or something like that, which I do plan on doing soon. I want to try to do either a shaker card with sort of a window on the card with the little shaker elements inside, or maybe a shaker tag. I don't know yet, but I'm excited to try to do that, and I will probably use this technique for that because I don't have any frame dies. So you can create that just by using 2 nesting dies of the same shape. And then you also get just a stitched oval out of that too that you can use in another application. So really not much goes to waste when you do this technique. And you can create a square frame if you have 2 squares. You can create a circle frame. You could even create a tag shaped frame and put a frame around a tag possibly. Really anything that you've got nesting shapes of. So how easy was that, right? That is so easy and such a good way to get so much more use from those simple shaped dies and get so many more things out of that than just the regular shape that you start out with in the beginning. I think this is really fun, and you could apply this in so many more ways and get so many different shapes and things out of this. You could really let your imagination go crazy and do so many things. So you guys be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a like over on my Facebook page, and be sure to join our Facebook group, Crafty Minds, so you can share your creations with us over there. Also follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and over on my blog I will have much more information, and I'll put all the links to those sites in the description below, so be sure to go over and check those out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.